Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daniel Mwaka Show and the IGAD Leadership Academy podcast, where we explore leadership lessons shaping the future of the Horn of Africa. I'm your host, Daniel Mwaka, and
Insaf Abdurrahman.
yes, today I've joined with a podcaster as well. So we're going to make this very amazing. And today our episode is about leadership in time of crisis. As a leader, crises don't just test the system, but the character of a leader. Whether it's conflict, pandemic, floods, or political uncertainty, true leadership reveals when everyone else seems to fall apart. Today we'll explore how leaders navigate uncertainties, make tough decisions, and rebuild trust when it matters the most. You have been here for the past few days, and they've taken you through leadership journey. And I believe that we have learned a lot, and we are ready to go back to our countries, to our communities, and to our families to ensure that we practice what we have been taught here. So we shall dive into the discussion shortly.
Thank you, Daniel, for this opportunity. It's my first time actually doing a podcast in English. I mostly do it in French. Before going to those specific questions to crisis, let's go back to class and let's tell our YouTuber auditors what is your experience at IGAD Leadership Academy. It's an open question. Whoever wants can participate and respond to this question.
So since you have been here, what is your experience at the IGAD Leadership Academy? What have you learned from the IGAD Leadership Academy? Yeah. And please mention your name and the country you're coming from. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Insaf, my name is Dwesige Emmanuel. I come from Uganda. I think from the time I came for the academy, it has been a very challenging situation in a way that I've had time to reflect on my own values and my own leadership approaches, because I've met a group of young people who have done much more amazing work than me, but also being challenged by learning about the modern leadership approaches and what I can do as a leader. And I really feel like much as I thought I knew, I just realized I did not know much. And I can just say it has been very transformative, and I'm going back home with a lot I learned in this academy.
All right, thank you. Do we have another person who have want to share the experiences at the IGAD Leadership Academy?
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunities. I'm called Onenchal George from South Sudan. In fact, this is my first time to attend IGAD programs. It gave me privilege when I meet young, powerful, energetic leaders across IGAD countries. I'm really so happy. Coming back to what I learned during the first 3 days, the most important thing was about the context of IGAD regions, which is the Horn of Africa and the Great Lake regions of Africa. So I learned that all the challenges that is happening in South Sudan is also happening in other parts of IGAD countries, which sometimes require the same approach, the same ways of how we can address them. And the most that inspired me the most is the 3 F's, which is forever, forgotten, and family issues that are identified during this training. So this is in fact something that is happening in almost all the IGAD countries. Otherwise, thank you so much. I also created a network of vibrant people. I connected myself with the PhD in the cohorts, and I'm happy, and I know this connection also inspired me to also do my PhD. When I come here for the next 10 years, I will also express myself as one of the PhDs who also inspired through this training. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Mercy, let us clap for Mercy. Mercy and Adams, these are the PhD holders in our cohort. So you have inspired some of us also to study very hard and to have PhDs as well. So now, yes, one lady, yeah.
I've recently been in a position of managing an international organization as the country director and program coordinator. So within that role, I have seen a lot of challenges, and this specific training was very relevant to me at this time in my career, and I have seen a lot of gaps and shortcomings in my leadership style or communication and things that I can fix. So I'm going back, kind of identifying some of my shortcomings, but also with a newfound energy and learning and areas that I feel like I can improve on, and I feel like I can lead my team and my organization much better after ILA. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me go back to my colleague here.
Thank you for all those words, all those takeaways you are going back with. Today, the theme is leadership in time of crisis. But before going forward for this podcast, we need to understand first what does crisis leadership means. So I'm gonna ask Mark for this question. What does leadership in time of crisis means to you personally?
Okay, good evening, everybody, and I just would like to appreciate the IGAD Leadership Academy and Daniel for having this insightful podcast. So, leadership in a time of crisis for me is standing for the larger community at the crisis. We know the leader have to pass lots of chaotic and harsh times. So there are lots of situations which needs an active engagement with the people. So at that time, the leader is expected to be responsible, to be emotionally intelligent, as well as to be decisive. So from my experience, I have been working as an humanitarian worker for maybe for 1 year, and there was a harsh time. So I interviewed a lady who is a victim, and her son was executed in the street. So it was too harsh. My colleagues didn't want to continue that in the interview, but I interviewed her by just controlling my feeling, my emotions. So the leader in a crisis is expected to think like wisely. So even from time to time, the situation may get worse, but he shall act diligently. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mok from Ethiopia. The reason why we brought this leadership in time of crisis, because we understand in the Horn of Africa, which is the GAD region, now we have a lot of issues going on, and it needs leadership. And that's why you're here attending the IGAD Leadership Academy, because IGAD have seen a leadership vacuum, and they're trying to give you how, when you go back to your countries, you'll be able to manage the crisis that we have. We have flooding in Sudan. We have fighting in Sudan. We have fighting in South Sudan. We have issues, border issues. So as a young leader, what are you going to do now that you're here? What role, put yourself, if you're a leader right now, what are you going to ensure that this crisis, as one person who have attended this important training, what role are you going to play when you go back to your country? And I just want somebody will add on that. And another question will come after that. From your experience after attending this training, what are some of the key qualities of a leader who can handle crisis? You as a leader, what do you need to have so that you can be able to handle crisis? Let me go to my brother from Sudan. I know this is a challenging situation in Sudan as well. So as a young leader, we are taught that we are not supposed to be crying every time. We are leaders. We are supposed to find solutions for the problem that we have. How are you going to solve the crisis that we are having in the Horn of Africa?
First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank IGAD Leadership Academy for this brilliant program. And also not to forget the government of Japan for the support. So this is really, the training was a wonderful training, and we learned a lot, not only from the facilitators, but also from our colleagues. We came from different countries with different work background, with different experience. Actually, that was enriching. Regarding your question, unfortunately, my country is going through a very hard time, facing different challenges, including conflicts, mass displacement. So in the time of crisis, also when there's a collapse of system, whether it is economic or cultural or so institutional or social, leaders are held accountable. This accountability could be in several different ways, depending on the context and the mechanism that exists on the ground. This accountability could be legal accountability, could be political accountability, could be public accountability. So, based on the context, leaders are accountable to their people. Thank you very much.
That's very powerful. Thank you. So leadership is not just about power. It's about presence. It's about taking the right decisions at the right time and be the most decisive possible. So let's keep going with the second questions. And Daniel, you can go ahead with the
All right.
question.
Thank you. Yes, and we have been taught about communication as well, which most of us appreciated it. Dr. Martha gave us how to communicate as a leader, and this one goes to Mr. Onen from South Sudan. What role does communication play in maintaining public trust during crisis?
I want to be very brief and precise. I'm driving from the instant of example of what happened in South Sudan during 2013 and 2016 war, where I had experienced the importance of positive communication when it comes to emergency situation, when it comes to crisis, when it comes to adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership is also another word for leadership in crisis. So it is very imperative as leaders to communicate to the population, the citizens, during time of emergency. Communication during emergency does not only build trust, but it also contributes to clarity, changes narratives, and improve the calmness, and also contribute to well-being of citizens in one way or another. Because when we look at the crisis, South Sudan, and not only South Sudan, the regions of IGAD facing, these are multifaceted issues that are very complex, is coming from every corner. That is why I can recall the word of President Obama that in a time of emergencies, we need to have a very coordinated approach. American alone cannot solve everything, so we have to be very cooperative, and we have to be a partnership. So other thing is building transparency and also creating partnership for peace. So when you communicate positively during the time of war, you are creating that environment where everyone will return with that happiness, and also create avenue for more collaborations in terms of settling the dispute. This brings me to the issue of dialogues and conflict resolution, what we learn from here. So this is very imperative for a young emerging leader from the IGAD Academy, that if we go back home, we have to employ the importance of having communication in every aspect of our life. Debunking hate speech and disinformation is very important during the time of war. So all this, if we embark on, so we will contribute positively in shaping peace around the regions. So if we use it negatively, we will be the propaganda tools. We can be employed to also contribute to uncertainty and welfare of our own citizens. So let me conclude by saying, if we are so very much concerned in making communication easy to us, we're also creating accountability aspect of it. So this is what I can attest, because I know communication playing a very significant role when it comes to bringing peace and creating instability and social cohesion. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Onen from South Sudan. And why are we bringing this? Because sometimes as a young leader, crisis comes, and most time we panic. And when we panic, we end up giving a very wrong information to the people. So as a young leader, how you communicate, Dr. Mata told us, how you communicate, how you send a message to the people, build confidence to you as a young leader in your community. Then I just want you to, this is a random questions. Can you share a moment when you had to make a very difficult decision when you're under pressure? A very difficult situation when you're under pressure. How did you come out from that situation? This is an open question. Anyone can answer it.
Thank you very much. 2020, during COVID, I was still a student. I was actually a student leader. And it so happened that when they put the lockdown, some students remained in their hostels because they could not travel, their parents could not get the money. And then time came, we as student leaders engaged the university management about how to support the students, but then the university was not interested in supporting students, and we wanted to compel it to act because these were university students who are still on semester. So one of the decisions I made, which was a bit costly and hard for me, was to engage the media and expose what was going on ground. To be honest with you, I had to do it because that's the only way the investor would get, to be asked so many questions. Why are you not supporting students? And of course, as a result, the investor had to respond, but also were able to capture the attention of leaders in the region, and they were able to give support to students. And to me, that was a very hard decision because I was exposing my own university, which I was leading as a student leader, but then there was a problem that I was trying to solve. Yep.
Anyone else wants to share? One experience, something. It can be a family issues, it can be work issues. Anything you guys want to share? Should I just ask anyone?
My experience is sometimes we work with vulnerable persons, and here you are at midnight or 3 a.m. in the night. You receive a call that maybe a lady has been badly beaten, she has no accommodation, and yet you have institutional protocol you have to follow before you can institute a rapid response, or you actually have to call some people, but there's someone's life in danger. She could probably die in the next minute, but there are also children involved. So what is the step I took was to, one, call police, rescue her first, and then report myself that, yes, I didn't follow institutional protocol, but there was a life to lose here. There was a Ugandan who was at stake, but also she was a vulnerable woman at that time, and she didn't have the resources that would move her from where she was living to a shelter. So through that process, I learned that sometimes I have to adapt, but also I have to take decisions that may ruffle feathers, but I have to do what I have to do if there's a life at stake.
Oh, yes. That deserves a clap.
Yeah.
That deserves a clap, eh? And that's really interesting because the second question was, how do you balance acting quickly with making the right choice? It just came on time, and sometimes you will be in some situations when you don't need to follow protocols or process or anything because you need to be fast. And that's one very nice example to put it. And thank you, Joyce, for this. I wanted to ask you all one thing. What do Africa has in common so far? What do we think all of us in the IGAD region, why do you think all of us are in this program today? What do you think was ILA made for? Who wants to try that question?
I'm Rachel from Uganda. I think one thing that we have in common as Africa is a big population of the youth very eager and willing to serve. A big number of youth ready to take up any opportunity to study, to learn anything about leadership, governance, and see how they can take up those spaces because all of us have already experienced all of us have the same challenges whereby the government or the big offices or decision-making places have been taken up by people who are living in a different generation that we are in, and they are not willing to adopt, and yet the biggest percentage that they are representing is not fully represented in those spaces. So that's one thing that I feel we all have in common as Africa.
Underrepresentation.
Yes, underrepresentation.
All right.
Thank you so much. To add on that, one or two common crises issues that Africa is facing in common, I could mention two or three. One of them is conflicts. Africa is consistently and rapidly fighting political wars or economic wars and so many other wars that are inflicted from the outside world. However much, we've also seen that this has put in other crises in place. You talk about rapid unemployment of the young people. So the young people rapidly there's a high rate of unemployment. You find that their expectations are not being met with what is on ground. So majority of them have now gone into criticizing their own governments and all that. Another thing that also I see vibrant among us as the young people or Africa is facing is we have a lot of relationship problems. We having hate speech against one another, tribalism and the nepotism that is trying to tear us so much apart. That's also another crisis Africa is facing so much. And I also look at the impact of social media, causing a lot of perception index, making people to think in another way. You find different media platforms supporting different things. News that comes from outside Africa tend to communicate differently about Africa, tarnishing our image. And then there's also an issue of us within ourselves as Africans. We see a lot of people trying to put different information, maybe concerning government, concerning this other thing, which causes a lot of panic within us. So these are a number of crises that I could share. There could be more than this, but for now, we could stop here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Toko. I think this is what Dr. Simon said, is how we brand Africa. How do we brand ourselves? Because a lot of good things are happening in Africa, but we don't talk about it. We give room for foreign media to speak bad things about Africa, but when it comes to Africa, it's not about wars, it's not about conflicts, it's not about poverty, it's not about tribal conflict. But there are better things that is happening in Africa, but the media is not really creating that positive image. And this brings me to a question like, how do personal values, faith, or culture shape your approach to leadership? And I think, Emmanuel, we're having some discussion on that, so I want to give Emmanuel to respond to that.
Thank you very much. A leader is a product of their own beliefs. What you believe in influences what you do.
Yeah.
And I want to take it from the three angles of values, beliefs, and then a leader's culture. Values also inform the decisions that you take. For example, as a leader, I value integrity.
Yes.
And if I value integrity, it means I'm going to be authentic in all the decisions I make, and I'm going to involve other people because I know my reputation counts, but also doing things that are people-centered is one of the, experiences that you go through in trying to exhibit your integrity as a leader. For example, I also value trust as a leader, and if I value trust, it means I'm going to, implement community initiatives in a more transparent way, because I know my trust can only be upheld if communities are aware of what is going on, are informed of the reasons as to why I'm taking such decisions. So that's how sometimes a leader's values can influence their leadership approach. And when it comes to beliefs, for example, as for Christians or Muslims or any other religion that we believe in, we have different teachings. For example, as a Christian, I know the Bible teaches about the values of community. It also teaches about humanity, and therefore, this is how you approach leadership from the empathetic point of view. Because if my beliefs align with with empathy, for example, as taught by my religion or as a belief that I hold as a leader, it means I'm going to be implementing people-centered leadership approaches and allowing people to participate in the community solutions that we're designing. And then, like I said, like a leader is a product of their values. A leader is also a product of their own culture. And sometimes how we approach leadership depends on our cultural orientation. There are cultures that are more patriarchal, that emphasize the dominance of men, for example. And so if I am that person who comes from such a culture, or I believe in such a culture that is a bit patriarchal, I'm most likely to be a bit discriminative in my decisions or in my leadership approach by allowing only, men to thrive or maybe not taking ideas of the other gender. Mm-hmm. But also culture also reemphasizes certain ideals about community itself. If, for example, my culture is a bit closed in, we know some cultures that are a bit inward-looking. Mm-hmm. They don't allow other people to influence. Yeah. It means even in my leadership approaches, I'm likely to be not inclusive because I don't value the participation or the inclusion aspect in leadership. So I don't see someone from a different culture as though they have something to contribute to what we are doing. So to me, I feel like everything we do, at the back of our mind, we're being influenced by our values, by the culture that we subscribe in, mm-hmm. but also our beliefs as leaders.
Thank you very much.
And maybe one more thing to end.
Yes.
As a leader, it's also very important to be self-aware. Mm-hmm. Self-awareness of these things we talked about, and also try to be a bit sensitive and relative in the decisions, knowing that yesterday we were told that what we see today, global is becoming local, and local is becoming global. So if you approach with that open mind, then you're able to balance.
Thank you. We have a friend behind there who wants to say something too.
With all humility, allow me to put something into context. I'll take you back a little bit. It's not a disagreement, but we need to put it in context. Emmanuel talked about branding Africa. I mean, in branding Africa, we don't mean that we talk so positively about Africa. No, it only means that we balance the stories of Africa. If someone tells a story of how it's catastrophic that 3,000 youths applied for a single job, they also need to highlight that there are 100 or millions of youths in Kenya who thrive not because of the government, but by their own effort. Mm-hmm. That is what we need. We need a balance of a story. And then he also talks about social media and the use of it. I think social media is one of the best things that have happened to us as the youth in Africa. Mm-hmm. We only need to use it constructively, especially when advocating for positive change in the civic space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe you can hold the mic, and I have a question, and it's about innovation and technology.
Yes.
What role does innovation and technology play in today's leadership?
We must appreciate how leadership has been able to empower the youths who are the major users of technology, especially the social media space, to put the authorities or the right, the government of the day into account. Something that wasn't so possible before the era of technology, because they used to sort of manage the mainstream media. The economy of the media and how the authorities or the governments of the day rely on the media to sort of manipulate the masses. It's not something that you can do right now in Kenya, because we know how to check for the information they feed us. We will tell you this is a lie, this is the truth. We can separate the chunk from the cereal. And then, so in terms of leadership, I've highlighted how we've been able to leverage technology to put the government into account. In terms of crisis management, I think there are so many not only the government, but even private sectors who have leverage on technology to give some of the very, very important information that help the government itself sort of plan itself in terms of monetary allocation, in terms of personnel, so that they can respond to a crisis before they are overwhelmed. Yeah, so we need to appreciate technology in that context.
Yeah, we have somebody from Kenya want to respond to that. Okay, let them come to you, yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Masimwini Kadhina from Kenya. We need to appreciate what the internet has done. I understand also there's the other side of it, that it has come with it. But the most important is the early warning systems and detection that in terms of crisis that internet has brought about. That, for example, if it's about flooding, a flooding is about to happen. There are systems that are now in place that the citizens will be told early enough that this place is not safe. You need to move. Thus, alleviating whatever issues that would have happened. Another thing in terms of crisis is communication and coordination when it comes to it, because it's easier, it's faster. Although there is that side of, miscommunication, fake news and all that, but we need to appreciate if now we have, for example, in the northern Kenya, the first news we got about it being, there are people who have gone there who are not Kenyans and they're terrorizing. It was through social media. We got to see people being bombed and all that. It was not through the government. It's social media. Thus creating public awareness that there is things that are happening. So when you look at it also in terms of real data, during the Gen Z's protest, as much as it's, people would want to paint it as any other thing, but we need to appreciate how they mobilized each other on social media, getting the real number. And from that, we had medics coming in and telling us we have 1,000 injured, we need more medical equipment. So you see, that is real data, compared to if we didn't have this fast channel of communication, we would have lost so many people. So those are my contributions.
Technology has helped us with resource mobilization. There are some payments that were supposed to be made in Uganda, but people didn't have bank accounts. So technology was very important for us because they were able to use like mobile money to still send the resources to people. So yeah, technology has played a very big role also in crisis management.
Anyone wants to add on it?
Maybe what I wanted to say, it has made the world borderless.
That will be the last comment. I probably need to move faster.
Yes. So it's made the world borderless. I remember on the first day when the ambassador from Kenya, the one who was doing mediations, mentioned what the power of social media, the power of mobilization, the power to reach out to different people. We are unable to reach out in our different spaces, but also the networking. So for me, it's the fact that we no longer have global, the borders are there, but we can reach everywhere unless it's blocked. So I really appreciate social media, but also it has come with its evils. We also know a lot of cyber attacks, hacks. Now you have to be very extra careful. And of course, we cannot belabor the point of online gender-based violence. Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
That has to be the last comment. Just to end with these parts, I want to add my point on this. Social media, internet technology, they are all tools. At the end of the day, whoever is using it is you guys and us. So it just depends on how we are using it, how responsible we are. That's why we are doing all those leadership classes. That's why we are talking about transformative leadership. That's why we are talking about emotional intelligence. Okay? So that's a way for us to understand how bad can these tools affect us, how it can go towards us at some point, and how responsible we should be with whatever we are doing. So, and you all talk here about connectedness, about being together, about everything. So just like crisis leadership isn't a solo act. It's not someone that will come and do the job. No, it takes a group of people to come together and to end things. So that's really, really motivating at some point. You can keep going with the rest.
Yes. All right, thank you. We are almost coming to the end of our discussion, but I have some few questions for us to wrap up. And I want to take this to Fiona. Crisis always push young people into different thoughts. What can we do to prepare young people for leadership? You came here and you got the knowledge about leadership. What can we do? There are a lot of young people who cannot have access to this place. What can we do to prepare young people to leadership?
It's over here? Yes. Okay, long press. In the middle. Long press.
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Fiona Kachabe from Uganda. And just to begin with, crisis will definitely be there. And just like any other African country, even the IGAD state members are not excluded. And what does that mean? It means that we understand there are accidental leaders, but it's now time to build a foundation of the leaders that we are to become. If there are people that you come along that are in positions that we are not happy about their actions, it still comes back to us to reach out to them and then also ask questions of why. So let's build the foundation of these young people, especially in terms of their decision making and critical thinking. And of course, I'll still call upon the youth. This mainly goes to the youth. The world will not want you if you don't have mainly two things. And one, you have to offer a service, and second, you have to offer a product. If you don't have those, it will be hard to lead as well. So I usually encourage young people to adopt the entrepreneurship bit of the leadership. If you have something in the pocket, it will be very hard for people to put you down. Otherwise, it will be very easy for you to move steps, to move ladders, and also to lead people. And most importantly, to also mentor the other young people that look up to us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. You've spoken something that is really, really very important. You have to have two things. You have to be able to sell and offer services for you to survive. And to be a young leader, if you want to go into leadership, you must have resources. As young people, we need to have resources so that we can vie for political office. And it's not because some people think vying for political office is because you want to go and get money. That's why most African leaders get it wrong. People think going to being a president or a member of parliament is just to go and get the resources. But if you have your own money, you're going to give services to the people. And just two more questions. I want to take this to, this is the most important question that I think we can't miss it out. And it goes to Joyce. How can an IGAD member state support each other in cross-border issues? That's one. And I'll take to to Adams, if you could speak directly to a young leader who is facing crisis, what advice would you give? I think these are the two questions before we, yeah. Can we start from Joyce?
We need to foster mediation and diplomacy. We need to foster accountability in our countries, holding the leaders accountable. And the other thing as IGAD countries that we can strengthen is leveraging regional and global mechanisms. One of the mechanisms is, of course, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, the African Union, and the various regional mechanisms like the UN. But we must start to foster our systems in Africa, since we understand our context, we understand our problems. We are a people that were separated by borders and by colonialism, but not because we were different from the very start. So we need to foster this. The other thing we need to look out for is a coordinated humanitarian response. When we started the podcast, we talked about what would you do in a rapid response. And for me, that is something that we need to grow. What is it that we can do when there's a refugee crisis? How do we share resources? We have seen at the moment resources from the global north have been dwindling, but how do we collect money among African states, among IGAD, to make sure we can actually manage the refugee crisis? I come from a country that hosts one of the biggest refugee communities, and I think we have one of the best refugee policies. How do the IGAD countries replicate the same? How do we look at refugees as our very own, not pushing them out, not limiting their access to employment, access to resources, access to social services, and all that? And of course, we need to strengthen early warning signs and rapid response units, like I said earlier. How do we share information? How do we do joint monitoring? There's been a lot of monitoring by the African Commission and all that, but how do we do our own and strengthen it to translate into results?
To Adams and of course, Zuhaira, I don't know what's the right name. Zebura from Ethiopia. You guys could just give us a brief insight on this as we're coming to the closure. If you could speak to young people who are facing crisis right now, what advice would you give them?
Okay, thank you so much. I am Zebura Kamal from Ethiopia. It's obviously accepting crisis in the young leader, especially in the continent full of challenges in social, political, and economically. So I advise youth leaders, take these challenges as an opportunity and challenge in challenges, and change it into an opportunity to make yourself strong and stand tall when such kind of economical and social challenges happen and when we fall. So I advise also, I take one example for this leadership in such kind of continent, being like an ocean. An ocean has a dangerous animals in it, and also an ocean has a salt, and also an ocean holds a high capacity discharge of water. But still the ocean is calm. Still the ocean refresh others, and still the ocean is respect himself from this planet. So we need to be calm on those situations, and we need to keep our people's vision, and we need to stay strong to gain or achieve that our dream, to make that vision true and our continent stable. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to join with the Daniel Mwaka Show podcast by the IGAD Leadership. I'm Isra Adam from Sudan. Okay, my advice to be or to need generation bring by the collaboration. Okay, we need build capacity building from the youth. I will advise the youth to be collective with us. Okay, to solve the problem in the IGAD leadership This is not a responsibility for leadership, political leadership, just it's responsibility for the whole nation or the individual or this country. We need to put the vision of the youth, specifically women, because the woman is most essential role in the conflict. So the solve it must be leaded rule by the woman in the conflict IGAD regionalship.
All right, thank you, thank you. We just left with 5 minutes. Let me give to my co-hosts.
No.
Yes.
I'm just gonna add on it. When I first started to talk about conflict and peace and everything, the people in my country ask me, why are we talking about peace? We don't have problem in our country. So at that point, I just understood that at some point you need to learn something. You need to learn about peace. You need to learn about conflict. What does it mean? A conflict that is happening in your neighboring country cannot affect you. Is it what it means? What's your best interest? We are all talking about immigration and everything. But those people left the countries because they have a conflict there. What's the best way to resolve this? Resolve the conflict out there. They all want to stay in her country, have their own nationality, have their own things. They don't want to go there and ask for assistance from anyone. Do you understand what I mean? So it's not because a conflict is not happening in your country that it's not affecting you. We are talking about positive peace and negative peace. Who knows about these two things? Positive peace and negative peace. Yes.
Okay, about positive peace, that is peace brought within the nation or the country that is affected by the war. Okay, and negative peace, that is peace affected by neighbor country that is in the war. Yeah, like IGAD leadership, IGAD region, the country affected by us. Okay, in conflict. Some country is not conflict, but affected by refugees issue, affected by borders issue, affected by water issue. This is not issue recently in this country, but cross the border and come to another country. This positive peace.
Okay, let's just rephrase this. Positive peace is when you have a framework. You follow a framework, you have a good governance, you have good social, you have equity, you have justice, you have everything. There is a framework. I will be sharing those documents with you guys. Negative peace is the absence of conflict. You don't have war, but you are still struggling. So that means that peace that you guys have is really like it depends on small things to just have a conflict in your country. That's why in my country we say, at least we have peace, let's keep it. Okay? That's one of the thing I wanted to add on this podcast. I'm really thanking you, Daniel, for this opportunity. Thank you all for all the outstanding works you are doing. For those who are working on humanitarians and conflict and peace resolution, please share with me, and thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Just have. Okay. Just 1 minute.
Negative peace is simply there is no a sound of gun, but there is a tension. But actually, the absence of a sound of gun means there is no peace. Of course, there is a peace, but that is negative peace. And the positive one is as per described by my colleague.
Yeah.
When I come to my point, the question is that what makes leaders accountable when system fails?
Exactly.
Yeah, this thing is common actually in the IGAD region. When the system fails, it's usually common. What makes us accountable him or her is that there must be traditional systems, okay? Indigenous systems, strong indigenous systems may make him accountable for his own deeds. And also his agency, his moral agency and concise, his ethical integrity may account him. And also lastly, I would say international institutions may make him accountable. But before that, I think I need to stress that, regional institutions like IGAD, must intervene in this time rather than ICC, which is against our values and our systems. So I advise IGAD and other economic communities to intervene in such times of crisis to make leaders accountable. Thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you very much. I think, just to conclude, I would say we have learned a lot from the IGAD Leadership Academy. We have really been empowered. Now it's our time to go back to our communities, to our countries, and be the change and make change. It starts with you. You are selected because you have the potential and you have gotten the knowledge right now. So we cannot bring everybody, IGAD cannot bring everybody here. So you are here because you can go back and try to give the same message that you got from here, train young people, have a discussion like this so that you can spread the message and try to empower young people. And also I'm aware that most of the IGAD countries are going for election. South Sudan is preparing for election next year. Uganda is preparing for election next year. I think Ethiopia, Djibouti also. Ethiopia also is preparing. Uganda, Somalia. So can you imagine if all the young people who came here from cohort 1, 2, and 3, if we have decided to run for political office, and actually if we win, we can make the policies, the changes that we want in the government. So we cannot stop making, we cannot just be making noise from outside. We have to get into the system, to the political offices so that we can make the reforms that we want to see. So I encourage everybody, for me, if election is to happen next year, I'm going to run for political office. And I will need you guys to support me as well. So, so I encourage you to do the same as well, so that we can be the change that we want. And of course, I'm Mwaka Daniel, and I'm with INSAF. I don't know whether I'm calling that name right. Yes, and this has been the IGAD Leadership Academy and Daniel Mwaka Show podcast. Next time, we'll continue. Maybe we'll come to your country and have such discussion as well. I want to appreciate the IGAD Leadership Academy and the government of Japan for giving us this platform, a very rare platform that not everyone gets the opportunity to be here. We appreciate the government of Japan and the IGAD Leadership Academy, the IGAD Secretariat for this opportunity. We have come to the end of our podcast, and have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Thank you.